That building right over there, the first temple was there. The first temple was there. It was destroyed 586 BC, before the Common Era, before Christ, however you want to say it, 586. The prophet that I've been asked to read from, Zechariah, he's speaking in 520 BC. So 60 years after the temple is gone, and he's trying to encourage Jewish people that we're going to come back. It's going to be okay. It's going to work. But he's a prophet, so he's talking about the immediate future, but he's also foretelling what's going to happen in the future. And a lot of theological scholars say that what I'm going to read relates to the end times. If you look at that dome, the first temple was there, the second temple was there, the Romans destroyed the second temple right there. This is like a history class coming alive, looking at what I'm talking about. The second temple was destroyed. Muhammad is born 570, and in 50, 60 years, the sword of Islam is conquering the whole world. And in 691, they wanted to compete with the the Roman Catholic Empire and the churches that were being built all over, beautiful churches. So the Muslims had to build a more beautiful edifice, and they had to put it over the Jewish temple. This city meant nothing to Muslims, but they had to put it over there. And if you follow our work, the United West, in 2010, we were down on Park Avenue, Park Street, at ground zero when the Islamic community wanted to build a mosque, a memorial mosque. We fought that for 3 years, and we stopped the mosque being built at ground zero. Group of us. Well, that was not stopped. That's a revenge building, and it's standing there. But in terms of Jewish and Christian theology, that can't be there. So I don't know how it's going to disappear, but I'll read from Zechariah. And so picture it's 520 BC, 2,500 years ago, and these words are for all of us as Jews, but it's also talking about the future. So it's only 60 years after the center of Judaism has been destroyed by the Babylonians. So he's trying to encourage the Jews. A day of the Lord is coming, Jerusalem, when your possessions will be plundered and divided up within your very walls. It just happened, but it's coming again. There's the foretelling of the future. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem and fight against it. There's going to be a bunch of nations fighting against Jerusalem. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped. Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will be taken from the city. So he's looking back as to what's happened, and he's looking in the future like this could be happening again. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations as he fights on a day of battle. On that day, his feet will stand on the, guess what it says? On the Mount of Olives. On that day. So this is predicting that someday in the future, the Lord's feet will stand right where we're standing right now, on the Mount of Olives, and east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two, from the east to the west, forming a great valley. I hope it doesn't happen right now, with half of the mountain moving north and the other half north and the other half moving south. You will flee by my mountain valley, for it will extend to Azel. You will flee from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, the king of Judah. Then the Lord my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. So there's going to be some help coming in. Verse 6. On that day there will be neither sunlight nor cold, frosty darkness. It will be a unique day, a day known only to the Lord, with no distinction between day and night. So time's going to take a little different change when all this stuff happens. When evening comes, there will be light. On that day, living water will flow out of Jerusalem, half of it east to the Dead Sea, half of it west to the Mediterranean Sea, in summer and in winter. It's amazing. This was written 2,500 years ago, and it's talking about the topography and geography that we're standing on. The Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day there will be one Lord, and his name the only name. So you look at that Islamic building and you go, okay, there's only going to be one Lord and one name, so the building has a problem. The whole land from Qubbat to Ramon, south of Jerusalem, will become like Arabah, but Jerusalem will be raised up high from the Benjamin gate to the site of the first gate, to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the royal wine presses, and will remain in its place. It will be inhabited. Never again will it be destroyed. Jerusalem will be secure. This is the plague with which the Lord will strike all those nations that fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they're standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. So he's getting very descriptive, and a lot of translators have tried to align this with a nuclear explosion or something, but just listen to the specific language. Verse 13, on that day people will be stricken by the Lord with great panic. They will seize each other by the hand and attack one another. Judah will fight at Jerusalem. The wealth of all the surrounding nations will be collected, great quantities of gold and silver and clothing. A similar plague will strike the horses and the mules, the camels and donkeys and all the animals in those camps. Then the survivors from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, and to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles, which means the temple has to be restored. If any of these people of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, they will have no rain. And it's a problem in this area. If the Egyptian people do not go up and take part, they will have no rain. The Lord will bring on them the plague he inflicts on the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. This will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of the Tabernacles. On that day, that holy day to the Lord will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, and the cooking pots in the Lord's house will be like sacred bowls in front of the altar. Every pot in Jerusalem and Judah will be holy to the Lord Almighty, and all who come to sacrifice will take some of the pots and cook in them. And on that day, there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord Almighty. So Zechariah lays out not a pretty picture for the future as he's trying to encourage Jewish people in 520 BC. A little spooky. All right, here we are on the Temple Mount. Beautiful Thursday morning, 15th of June, 2023. Very serene, and we have an excellent Tom Holman group. There's Tom right over there. Here's our group. It's quiet up here. And behind me is the Temple Mount. And Alan, the cameraman, is going to zoom in on this satanic image that many people can see as the head of the goat Baphomet. And when you talk to the the Jordanian Waqf up here, the police, they'll say, oh, nothing. In fact, if they see us doing this right now, they'll be saying, nothing to see. But we got a great group, beautiful day, and this is where the third temple is going to be built, right on this location.